It was a win of seismic effect. Arsenal finally banishing the spirit that has haunted them for a past decade. It is Arsenal, yes, getting one over Manchester City, an emphatic win that once again underlines the progress Mikel Arteta has made in North London. With that, I welcome you to Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. It promises to be another exciting time on the show today. We have a lot in store. The big one from the NBA, Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade. All of that and so much more we will discuss on today's edition of Sports Pizza. Once again, my name is Edwin Onyebolise, and of course, I'm in the company of Abe David. Before I bring David on board, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll get the ball rolling. Welcome back from that short break. With me on set once again is David. David, how you doing?
Yeah, Edwin, I'm good. I didn't need to say this. You can already feel my excitement. I mean, we signed off last week and I said I'm expecting a victory. And one thing, a message, a lesson for everyone out there. You know, just keep plugging at it. Eventually, that bully, that strong power that found it difficult to overcome, you eventually overcome them.
All right. Since you set the tone, let's continue in that direction. Like I said in my intro, David, it was a victory with seismic effect. It shook not just the core of English football, but it resonated around the world, from Spain to Italy to Africa. The comments on social media, it felt like finally, Arsenal have made that statement win that we expected of them the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, one thing that, over the past few weeks, a lot of you said that Arteta, how he has stagnated this team and but I kept feeling that there's still a level to go. And would it be transfers that will get that level, or mentality those players will actually raise their level? And I think mentally they raised their level for this kind of game, and we saw the result play out. Let's
talk about the game itself, David. I was in conversation with friends last week, and I told them, see, Arsenal is the best pressing team in England. In fact, I think they are the best, arguably the best pressing team in Europe. And I thought that was a strategy that will work for them and could work for them. And it did happen. They forced City into mistakes. And again, it just showed us the shift from City, the team to beat, to Arsenal right now dominating them in this present time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for those who still feel they're still the City, they are only City in name right now. You look at, everybody has talked about, I think by now we should forget about the whole issue of Rodri being injured is why they are where they are right now. I don't think it has nothing to do with what they are facing right now. It feels like when City go into games and then you actually apply pressure, City over the course of Guardiola's time have been, very intense. The intensity was one of the major fragments of their game, but now it has completely gone out of the window. When you put that pressure on them, you add intensity into their game, you find them crumbling, and it's the way and manner in which they crumble. It has happened multiple times, and you see now it's a pattern.
Talking about Pep Guardiola, David, his naysayers have said, hey, from Barcelona to Bayern Munich and to Manchester City, he's always had the best teams. Now, it is easier to win games. It is easier to win titles when you have the best players on form with the best team. Now, coaching is a lot more tougher, more tasking when you have a crisis. Now, that ability to coax performance from your players to go the extreme and get results is missing in this City team. Now, hey, he's one of the greatest for most people. He is the greatest coach of all time. But I think when we look back at this season, there will be questions about Pep Guardiola and how he has handled Manchester City this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this Manchester City spell has, brought out a lot of the questions that we've had over the course of his career. He has been a manager who has been achieve and leave, and he did it at Barcelona 3 years, achieved all he could achieve, and then he left at the point where he was at the highest. He went to Bayern, did similar things, and he came to Manchester City, and I think the fact that he ran the course, it took them to a height, and now they are falling back. To now raise them to that level, I think that's the question mark that people are asking, and he has so far not shown that he's able to do it.
Should he have left at the end of last season? You've done the 4th title on the roll, a record no one has achieved in English football history. Don't you think that was the peak? And at that point, they had plateaued, and the only way forward was down.
Yeah, I think so. Judging from what he has done over his career, I talked about the Barcelona and the Bayern Munich sphere, after all he did with Manchester City, being the manager he is, that he has not shown that he's able to raise the team again for a second, bite at the cherry after what they've achieved. I think it would have been best for him to leave, but I think on his part, he considered the options. There were not really much options available outside of Europe for him to consider. So he felt maybe, because Pep, somebody who's obsessed with football, he didn't see much options out. He felt, let me just ride this storm out and see what I can do again.
All right, let's get back to Arsenal. What does this win mean for Arsenal, for the now and for the future?
I think for the now, it means that the Premier League title chase is still on. I mean, this was the result they needed. A win was all that mattered. The 5-1 is flattering as well, but they needed 3 points. And to go to Manchester City, to do a performance like that against them, I think it gives them confidence for this season. But for the future, it means there's a ceiling that they can still get to. It means those who felt that they've reached their ceiling under Mikel Arteta can still see that there's more to be achieved. Because you took out that squad, you had a striker, you had 1 or 2 more players to that squad, you feel they can get even higher than where they are right now. And
talking about ceiling, Liverpool once again raised the bar against Bournemouth. For me, I thought that was the most important fixture in the Premier League last weekend. Because, hey, Arsenal once again, better team, better form than Manchester City. Yeah. Bournemouth were on a run, 11 games unbeaten, thrashed Nottingham Forest last time out 5-0. And the way Liverpool managed this game, David, it's going to take a lot of stopping to use Arne Slot's team. Yeah,
absolutely. I think I'm one of the people who had a little bit of doubt about Arne Slot's team and how they will be able to respond. But I think they've answered every question that has been thrown at them at this stage of the season. The fact that they are able to shape shift, they are able to match different phases of the game. There are periods in that Bournemouth game where they were under the ropes. Fine, they were lucky they escaped. Bournemouth hit the crossbar, missed a few chances, but they responded in typical fashion you expect from a team who has functions of winning a title, and they did it well. And I think that's why they are prime favorite. I think the gap they built is enough for them to see it all the way.
For Manchester United fans, David, spare a thought for them.
I mean,
2 steps forward, 5 steps backwards. Yeah. Marcus Rashford has joined Aston Villa. Dogo has joined him from Lecce, the wing back, left wing back. Yeah. Is the future bright with Amorim?
I think for me, I keep saying it, I am feeling a huge amount of pity for Amorim because he was brought in to fix a mess that it was not of his own making. Yeah. The point in the season where he came in, with all the signings, all the players, he has weed out a lot of these players. The fact that he started that game at the weekend without the 2 strikers that were signed by the previous man tells you that he doesn't believe in them, he doesn't trust them enough. So I'm only going to judge him when he has a full transfer window where he actually brings in an influx of players, fix those positions there, because you look at a lot of positions where he needs to bring in players. Then I will now judge him.
All right, from England, David, we'll move straight to the Italian Serie A. The Milan derby ended 1-1. Heartbreak for Sergio Conceição. They were so close. But Inter found a way through Stefan De Vrij. For Roma and Napoli, it also ended in similar fashion. This time around, it was Roma who snatched a point from the jaws of defeat. Now, when you put both performances, both games under the microscope, David, Simeone Inzaghi, Antonio Conte, who will be more disappointed with how the game ended?
Well, I think for me it would be Antonio Conte. I talked about, in the previous show, I talked about how, going into the Milan derby, I felt Inter Milan, the margins were either way, because we've seen, Milan do some crazy things against Inter Milan. They don't really consider from when they go into those games. They always want to win that game. So Inter Milan had a margin of error, to draw points in that derby. But for Napoli heading into a game against Roma, they've not been in the best of place. Fine, Ranieri has tried to fix the issues that they've had, at least to salvage their season. But Napoli have a better team than Roma, so they're expected to get at least a win. Not getting that win will hurt Conte a lot. Yeah,
it's going to hurt him a lot. But it's finally points in the Italians here. Fingers crossed as we look forward to more entertaining fixtures, more games coming up. All right, enough analysis for now. We'll get back to analysis. It's time for the Tipstars Corner. David, what do we have on the Tipstars Corner today?
Yeah, so we are going to Spain this week, where we have firstly the big Madrid derby at the Estadio Santiago Bernabeu, Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. On the basis of this, we're looking at how those teams are going into the game.
Yep.
I'm going for a Real Madrid straight win. I think they have more. The result they got at the weekend was a disappointing one for them. So I think they will want to respond quickly. We saw what they did the first leg, where they got a 2-0 victory against Atletico Madrid. Considering the fact that, Atletico Madrid, in the last 5 games, it has been very balanced head-to-head between both teams. Atletico Madrid have be able to get the better of Real Madrid. But I think in this game, Madrid have more to lose. But if you're also looking for the goals, market, both teams to score, I think it has happened in the past 5 games between both teams. So both teams are definitely going to score. If you're going for the overs, I think over 1.5 as well will be a safe bet for you.
All right, over 1.5, both teams to score, and David has gone for Real Madrid to win. But hey, you can go for Real Madrid to win either half. That is home team to win either half. How about anybody win? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, anybody wins. So I think it's not going to end in a draw. I think you can also go for a Madrid 1x2 if you want to.
So you can go for a Madrid home win or draw. How about Sevilla and Barcelona?
Yeah, Sevilla and Barcelona. Unfortunately for Sevilla, they are not coming to this fixture on the back of good form. In the last 5 matches against Barcelona, they've lost all 5, so they are not expected to win in this one. And also their form has been very sketchy. Barcelona are maybe building a mini revival, So I think for me, a Barcelona straight win. Even the odds favor them. They are highly placed as favourites to win this fixture. For goals, it's going to be difficult because I looked at Barcelona to score multiple goals in their game over the weekend and they only managed a 1-0 victory. But Sevilla are more open than Alaves. They will approach this game more open. So I think Barcelona will have more fun. They will score more goals. So I think an over 1.5 goal. Barcelona win and over 1.5 in this fixture. A goal, I don't think so. I think Barcelona win and no goal. All
right, that's a very tough one. Barcelona win and no goal. How about under 3.5, under 4.5? You can go for that market also. You can go for under 2.5 second half. I think it's going to be very cagey in the second half. So a bit of tip for me.
Yeah,
right?
It works.
All right, let's go on a short break. When we return this morning show, I will resume with the NBA. Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. The NBA has gone poof. Welcome back to the second half of the show. If you're joining us for the very first time, this is Sports Pizza, a sports show where we give you insightful analysis, information, and a bit of entertainment by the side. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. It's time to talk NBA, David. Yeah. It came out of the blue. In fact, both managers and both players of both clubs were not aware. The fans were not on it. The media got it late. It came as a shock. It came as like a bomb. In fact, I would say it's arguably the biggest trade in NBA's history. Arguably. Yeah. Anthony Davis from Lakers to Dallas Mavericks. And on the other side, it is Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks to the LA Lakers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said it arguably, the biggest trade in NBA history. But I think one thing that is not arguable is the first time that we are seeing 2 All-Star players being swapped mid-season, being traded mid-season. It's something that doesn't happen very often in NBA. And you've mentioned the fact that both managers, both players were away. So it's just the front office trying to do something in the middle of the season. Very, very surprising. You look at the fact that who stands to gain more, that's the question everybody's asking. Who stands to gain more, who stands to lose more? You are trading for Maverick, you are trading a 26-year-old, all-star player, somebody who offensively is one of the best in the league, one of the best scorers in the league. You're now bringing in Anthony Davis, somebody who, fine, his scoring record is quite good, but I think he's more of a defensive player. And that was the excuse that Harrison, the GM of Mavericks, gave that they are bringing in more defensive solidity because they talk about the fact that Doncic is not defensively solid and he affected them in their run to the NBA Finals last season how they lost. So I think he's trying to justify, but it still doesn't make sense. Try to rationalize it. Trading a 26-year-old for a 32-year-old. I mean, they are looking at considering the fact they talked about Doncic's injury record this season, but that's just this season. It's something that can be addressed. It doesn't have a history of it. You are trading your future for the present, and it doesn't really make sense.
So on the short term, it feels like if Mavericks gets their acts together, 2-3 years they can win a title. Yeah. But for Lakers, they're playing the long game. And you talked about injuries. Anthony Davis has a record
and that's it.
of injuries. Like each season, he's going to miss about 25 to 30 games per season. Let me read out some stats. So for Anthony Davis, he's a 3-time first NBA All-Defense, a 2-time second All-Team All-Defense, a 3-time NBA blocks leader. This is who
they are getting.
Mavs are getting. Now, on the long run, for the Lakers, they're getting a 26-year-old, 5-time all NBA first team appearances, 5-time NBA All-Star, NBA scoring champion in 2024.
Yeah.
He's younger, he has a higher ceiling. Yeah. It's just a game of let's wait and see, because at this point we can only speculate. I don't think we can accurately predict what could happen in the short, medium, and long term. But hey, that is what it is from the NBA. We'll be giving you all of the latest trades as regards to the NBA. David, from there, let's head back home. The league is Remo Stars to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last 2 seasons, it has been a case of, whisper it quietly, and Remo Stars go the way. But this season, the fact that the manager has come out, definitely and talked about this is our season. A lot of things are good. The first half of the season, they had some major blips. But one thing that was key was they made sure that they finished the first half of the season on top of the table with a sizable goal. And now the gap seems to be more stable. And I think for me, it's how they are getting the result. First half of the season, they were struggling to get away victories. They were struggling to get away points. But now they are doing it 2-1, 1-0. They are doing very well. And I think for me, the fact that they are playing very well, the best defense in the league, and then their attack is also providing the goals for me. So for Daniel Ogunmadede and his boys, I think this is their season. It
is their season. A quick look at the table. You have Remo Stars in first position, 45 points. Shooting Stars are also doing fantastically well. Second position, 37 points. It feels like continental football is coming back to the Southwest. And the last time the Southwest team won the MPFL, I think about 2 decades ago, so it must be good for fans from the Southwest. Rivers United are 3rd on the log, while Abia Warriors are up to 4th on the table. It's been a fascinating MPFL season 2024-2025. So it's one game at a time for Remo Stars. And for Shooting Stars, growing up, one of the biggest teams, traditional historical teams in Nigeria, getting a continental ticket will feel like they've come full circle since that team went into the doldrums. David, from there we'll go to Nigerian players abroad. What do you have for us?
Yeah, over last weekend we saw Nigerian players, some of the more unfancied names, actually come to the fore and remind us of their presence. We saw in England, we saw Paul Onuachu and Joe Aribo for Southampton, helping them to a 2-1 victory over Ipswich. Fantastic one for them. Only their second victory this season. Would it be enough to save them from relegation? I'm not sure, but good one for both players. And in Germany, we saw an all-Nigerian class. We saw Victor Boniface, fresh off the whole transfer saga that he had to deal with, return for Bayer Leverkusen, and scored his 7th goal in 11 matches. We need to remember how good he has been for them, even despite the fact he has been absent. And we also saw on the other side Gift Orban, who remembers the name, somebody who was talked about as one of the future of Nigerian football, bright talent, but he found his way around and went to France, struggled, and now he's in Germany, Offenheim. They lost 3-1 to Bayer Leverkusen, but good one to see him. His 2nd goal for them since he joined this January. Fantastic one for both players. All
right, and we'll wrap up the show with stats. What are the latest stats, David?
Yeah, for those who don't know, Nottingham Forest have averaged the least amount of possession in the Premier League, 39%, and I think they are 3rd on the table. It tells you that all the ultra-possessive, but some managers don't want to adhere to it. Also, on that same note, we saw Getafe this season. They are the only team in all of Europe's top 5 leagues who have not attempted 5,000 passes this season. Tells you how, we all know Borderlands at Getafe, we know what he's all about, and that tells you how much he understands what he wants to do with that team. And then for Everton, we saw them score their 14th goal in the first minute of a game in the Premier League. No team has scored that amount in the Premier League. It tells you how much of a history they have in the league and how they're able to score early goals.
All right, that is the much we can take on the show today. I'm sure you had so much fun with us. We'll be back same time next week. We'll leave you with our video for the week. Do enjoy it. Follow us on our social media platforms. Lovely content for you on YouTube. David, once again, it's a pleasure having you on set.
Yeah, Edwin, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be here doing this with you. From David, it's goodbye.
From me, Edwin Onyeboli, see you same time next week. Have fun.